Want me to only be the nurse? Okay, find someone else to work as a DSP. Hi, first time posting, on a phone, probably spelling errors, but oh well, it happens, they can stay. So this happened just recently. I work in a group home and we have DSPs, those not familiar, direct support professional equals caregivers. I'm a nurse there. I'll give some chain of command and title explanations first. If you're familiar with the group home dynamics, or just don't care, feel free to skip down a few paragraphs. The hiring manager is also the manager of the house managers, so I'll call them the boss. The administrator is the main boss, so I'll call them the grand boss. Chain of command is DSP coordinator, house manager, boss, grand boss, nurse charge, nurse, grand boss. Okay, now that we have that, I'll share my MC. I went to have a conversation with boss and grand boss about a medication issue at a house. That conversation led to a somewhat heated conversation about a different house that boss is the temporary house manager of. Boss is angry at several of us because a coordinator quit recently and boss feels we, nursing and another staff, ran them off. Said coordinator was not following any of the things they were taught when they were trained. Mostly on my part, doctor's orders regarding nutrition and exercise, as well as several other things. They were awful and gaslighting us and regular staff, trying to control every aspect, not working as part of the team, etc. Since boss can't really punish the rest of the staff, they are angry with, they are targeting and punishing, trying to at least, me. During the conversation, boss tells me stay in my lane, do the nursing role and nothing else. I said okay, fine, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you only want me to be the nurse, then do not ask me to be a DSP, that's not my role. It is in my scope of practice to do. I won't be picking up shifts. We are severely short-staffed and all of us have been working in houses as DSPs. Because of this and a few other things, none of us are now. Fallout, boss, who is salary and doesn't get OT, has to now work shifts, including this weekend, that the rest of us were willing to work, as well as doing their own job, with no extra pay. Bonus, grand boss never said a word during this whole thing, just sat back and listened. However, the next day, I stopped to apologize for getting so upset. I was so angry I cried, and they stopped me, gave me a hug, which totally shocked me, and told me I was a good nurse and did a good job and care for my client. However, I did have a few things I could work on. I agreed, we all have things to work on. Either grand boss is genuine or is terrified I will leave and they will have to find another nurse. I'm leaning more towards the latter. He's not usually that nice. Anyhow, they lost having 4 staff that would pick up empty shifts and are just standing back to watch the fallout of boss's actions. TLDR, boss is angry with me, told me to stay in my own lane and just do nursing work. Told them okay, don't ask me to pick up shift for a role that is not mine. Boss has to work this weekend with no OT. Oh, and I have applied to some other places as well.
Now to the comments. Wow, the boss doesn't seem to understand how to be a good boss. He sounds like a real boss turd.
OP replied. You ever had someone who tries to see the good in people to a fault? Like even if there is no good they try to find it. That's this person. They want everyone to succeed, even people who shouldn't be taking care of a pet rock, let alone another human being. Some people are great for factory work, or retail, or whatever, but aren't cut out for this line of work. Our clients are the most vulnerable there are, special needs, developmental disabilities and such. At one point during the conversation, I told them they should want more people that advocate for clients instead of keeping the ones that don't do their jobs. If it did any good, but I at least spoke my mind and stayed professional. Edit, fixed wall of text.
I know I'm not cut out for that line of work. Anything with human medicine is too much for me. I've heard this line of work is toxic from so many nurses. Do you have any idea why that would be? Just curious. I'm glad you got some payback. You don't deserve to be mistreated.
OP replied. Where I work is different from most group homes. I think it's because you have one nurse who does only paperwork and deals with clients from a distance. Most group homes don't have nurses available to even work in the homes. I love my job most days. I love my co-workers and clients to bits. But honestly, upper management sucks. Even middle management is amazing. Boss is a super good codependent and enabler. They for some reason seem to favor the absolute worst employees. Upper management is seriously what keep our company from being amazing. Actually mainly one person, the rest are tolerable.
It's always management that is the issue. The head doesn't know what the body is doing and doesn't want to help when the body is suffering. I've worked places that are short-staffed, and often short-staffed only meant management couldn't be bothered to help where they could. One place I worked ended up with a shortage of nurses, but 3 nurse managers could not be bothered to help out at all. Mind you, we had a total of like 8 floor nurses and lost 2 due to shit management. I ended up leaving because of the lack of support. Oh, and I have applied to some other places as well. Please make sure you don't jump out of the frying pan into the fire. The places that are always hiring / short-staffed are always hiring / short-staffed for a reason.
OP replied. I'm applying to a different area of nursing. I'm working towards getting certified for mental health care as an NP, and to be fair, that's the reason I haven't left yet. I know what to expect with this dysfunction. God knows what I'd get somewhere else.
I can tell you from professional experience that every area has its own dysfunction, and having worked in psych, state hospital, odds are even that it isn't any better than your current gig. I do hope you find a lovely facility of your choice, and that it works out better for you than expected. Yeah, it probably wasn't genuine. I sliced my tendon at work, had to have reconstructive surgery. As I was leaving for the ER, my grand boss gave me a hug and patted me, telling me it's going to be okay baby etc., being so super sweet. Then when I got back to work, I was informed they don't have workers' comp, and he, a millionaire, left me with the medical debt, and he was pissed that I couldn't work as fast one-handed. Edit, I hope you find a job where you're valued and treated as you should. They're out there. Wish the best for you.
That's when you sue your boss for not having workmen's compensations as required.
This is the best. I work at a group home as a DSP myself, and let me tell you, the staff shortage is real. Never ever duck over your extra help, because 16-hour shifts for a week straight is a thing I've done during this pandemic, and not only is it taxing on the body but the mind as well. They really stuck their foot in it for sure. LOL.
OP replied. We have staff that have been working multiple days in a row, in sleep-allowed houses overnight, but higher-need houses during the day, without having a day off, overtime within 2 days. It's nuts.
Sounds like boss deserves to lose his nurses for the way they treat people.
OP replied. Boss has cost us tons of amazing staff because of catering to the toxic staff, usually because they will pick up and work tons of shifts. However, they usually don't actually work and are just a warm body to fill the open shift.
Could also be grand boss is not happy with boss but needs ironclad, absolutely no wiggle room, to get them out, so is happy you're doing this because they may quit, or being that overworked they'll make a major mistake that falls into that category. People tend to suddenly get nicer when you're going along with their plans even when you don't know you are.
OP replied. Would be nice, but boss has been with the company for like 25 to 30 YRS, so likely not going anywhere unless it's to retire.
You should probably report this. Call Community Care Licensing. You will remain anonymous. The problem in this facility is bigger than you see, employees generally only seeing the tip of the iceberg, patients are paying the cost for care, and they are clearly going to suffer with inadequate staffing. they are not getting an ordinary level of care, and they certainly aren't getting the services they are paying for. I would also call the service coordinator and discuss it with her privately as well. Just frame it as being concerned for the level of care the patients are receiving. I am a former DSP. Some places have a very toxic environment.
OP replied. Yes, they are. I think that's healthcare in general though.
I believe Grand Boss Mayhe stepping back so the toxic boss is run ragged and either fixes the staffing issues, or quits. I imagine they are wanting toxic boss to quit, IMHO.
OP replied. Would be nice.
Me reading DSP, Dinternet Service Provider. Either Grand Boss is genuine or is terrified. I will leave. Terrified you'll leave is my guess. Never work without pay. Staffing is the boss's job.
OP replied. No worries there, I'm not salary, my boss is though.